Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time since I posted. It's been a busy summer of work, so thanks for staying tuned. And I did want to make sure I got some more miles in my truck before I did another post on it. I have a lot of things to cover today, but the topic of today is goodbye SPC upper control arms. I'm still using their lower cam bolts. In fact, I'm about to put another side in, but I do have the SPC upper control arms in here. I've had them in there for, I don't know, I think about 4 years ago I got this lift, maybe 3 years ago. And I think I have like probably 40,000 miles on them. I've been through a set of ball joints. This set of ball joints is ready to go. It's only been in there 10,000 miles, maybe 12. But the real reason I'm saying goodbye to SPC is because I just can't seem to trust them for multiple reasons. And it really came down to this last time, the alignment falling out of whack on me 2 days in a row while off-road while I was hunting. It actually cut my hunting trip short because I kept having to realign. And at a certain point, I just got fed up with it. It was interrupting my trip. Yeah, very frustrating. I know they were, according to the shop that I took them to, a local four-wheel drive specialist, they were torqued to proper spec. I torqued them to proper spec up in the mountains myself, and it slipped again. So I can't say that they're, not functional for certain purposes, such as like if you're gonna do a mall crawler or something like that, something you just drive around town, or if you don't drive very hard off-road, I think they're fine. But the way that these upper control arm, you can see in here, there's a sliding adjustment for the toe and camber. The toe locks in with a star nut, and the camber does not. The camber just basically sits in that channel, and if you hit that front end hard enough on a rock or something, it's just a matter of time, from my experience, that it's gonna move on you. And no bueno. I mean, when it moved, it went all the way out, all the way to the opposite side of that channel. And so fortunately, it was set up so that when it was in alignment, it was on the very opposite end of that, and I already knew that before it went out, so it was just a matter of me lifting the front end up with the farm jack and readjusting it in the field. But anyway, on to fun things. We're gonna put some Dirt Kings in there, and I'll show you that. So these are the Dirt King Gen 2 with the sealed, I guess it's actually, if I pop this top off, it's not technically sealed because it has a cap on it to keep the dust out, but you do have a Zerk fitting up on top there to grease these guys, and that's a 40 millimeter oversized Moog ball joint that's readily available at most auto parts store. I think they're about 30 bucks. They're cheap enough and small enough that you can just carry one in the vehicle along with some spring clip pliers. And so if you have a ball joint go bad while you're on the road, it should be a very easy in the field fix that does not require you to realign the entire vehicle every time you change a ball joint. So really happy. These are already set up for the right, not toe, I said toe earlier, I meant to say caster. These are already set up for the right caster for the 35-inch tires I have, and they have a sealed, no grease, sleeve style polyurethane bushing in there, so it should give very good responsiveness. They're not supposed to make any noise, and overall build quality on these is really looking good. These are technically, so the Gen 1s are the ones that Bilstein uses with their name on it. They're made by Dirt King. It's the same as the Gen 1. These are the Gen 2s. They have the upgraded bushings in the back, upgraded ball joint, and they come with the cap. To me, it's worth the extra 150 bucks. Quick side note too, guys. I just want to make sure you know this video is not sponsored. I'm really not making hardly anything off of it from YouTube either. It's really just want to make sure you guys are informed so you don't have to go through the same things I did. And a quick shout out to Hot Shot Off-Road. They don't sponsor me either. I'm wearing their t-shirt because they sent one with their Labor Day sale when I bought those control arms. Colton over there is the man. He literally sold me the 8100 and 8112 suspension out from himself. It was a pair he had reserved for himself, but I had actually a blown shock body on my old Toy Tex, and he felt for me enough that he sent me the ones that he had held on for his truck. So shout out to Hot Shot Off-Road. Check him out, and let him know I sent you. I don't get anything from it, but I do like Colton. He's a good guy, and the guy knows everything about everything he sells. I mean, just a boatload of knowledge, and he'll answer the phone you call. So not many places like that around left. So good shout out to Colton. All right, I got one side lifted up here. Wheel came off, and I pulled these sort of mud flap deflectors out of the way. You can see the bolt that goes through the control arm there. And there's this big piece of electrical conduit that I think it'd be wise to take the power off just so we can move that, pull it out of the fastener that's connecting it to the frame, and that'll help us get that bolt out. All right, so easier just to pull the battery first, and then the best way to get this undone is just take that 10mm nut off, and then you should be able to push it to the side enough to be able to pull that bolt out. It's gonna give you more working room this way too, without the battery in there. Worth the effort. So I used my half drive on there. I've got a 22mm socket. Barely had enough room to get between these hoses with the extension. It must have had about 200 pounds at least on there. You're gonna need your cheater bar. So we're gonna get that off and then hopefully pop it through. Maybe put a little bit of support underneath the lower control arm to take some pressure off of that so it slides freely. And hopefully this comes out not too hard. All right, I popped that ball joint out of our tie rod with an engineer mallet. And the extra support from this jack under the control arm really made it easy to pull this bolt. I started it by just turning a ratchet on this end after I got the nut out and pushing on the opposite end, and that got it to start to move freely, and now it's just ready for me to pull out. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this line here, and I'm gonna do something to hold on to this so it doesn't flop over when I fully take that ball joint out there. There we go, there's the old versus the new. And I'm gonna show you a second. This side didn't have any play on it 5,000 miles ago. There's about 1/8 of an inch of movement of that ball joint popping in and out on the SPC, which, you know, if it was a $30 replaceable joint that didn't require a realignment every time, maybe that would be acceptable. I sure hope I get more than 5,000 miles out of these Moog joints. I'm pretty sure I will. That's pretty ridiculous considering I only probably put 200 of that off-road. So, and I'm not like a hardcore off-roader. I don't jump the truck. So anyway, you can already see the difference in the build quality on these Dirt Kings. Gusted it up here. This is significantly heavier, which I don't know if that's gonna affect the suspension at all, but it kind of leads me to believe, I'm not sure if they're using the same kind of steel as the Dirt King. I do know the Dirt King uses a very high quality chromoly steel, which probably allows them to make it a little bit lighter. Yeah, excited to get these in. We're gonna do that next. Before I forget, I want to just show what was slipping. You can see that's the camber channel in there. There's no grooves or anything to stop that other than torque on this upper nut, which I believe is spec'd for somewhere around 180 pounds. It's not enough. If you hit something hard enough, that's gonna move. And apparently it's gonna damage the ball joint as well. So goodbye, SPC. Hello, fixed joint. Hello, Dirt King. All right, everything's basically finger tight. I didn't exactly finger tight that. First thing I did here was just kind of get the castle nut on there to hold this in place so the assembly's in one spot. And then I had my son help me align the arm on the housing there while we got the bolt through. That was super helpful to have an extra hand to do that. And then I just finger tightened that back there. I'm gonna go ahead and torque. I think these are 85 pound-feet and then this, or foot-pounds, and this is 81, which makes a lot more sense than it felt like 250 on there that the SPC had, which I don't think was spec, but I didn't put those on there. That was the shop. Sometimes you gotta do things yourself to get the right torque settings. And then it's very interesting that the SPC castle nuts were torque spec'd to 40, and that was another problem I had with those, is they kept coming loose and they'd just be like sitting on the cotter pin. Thank God I had the cotter pin in there, because then I'd be losing, you know, connection to my control arm and probably roll the vehicle at that point. So I used to tighten those up to 80 just intuitively based on how that tension felt with that torque wrench. And coincidentally, that's what these call for. And really the threads are about the same pitch and coarseness as the SPC. So I don't know why they were calling for such a low torque spec. Anyway, excited to get this tightened up, and then we'll get on to the other side. Okay, right side's done, got the battery in. I can look at passenger side here. Again, lots of hoses. Fortunately, these are all soft, so I'm just gonna start disconnecting those and removing them as many as I can to make it as easy as possible, and then I'll repeat everything else that you saw on the other side, so I won't even bother with that. Stay tuned, I'll give you an update after we get it aligned. Okay, there it is, all installed, guys. All right, so right out of the box, I already kind of gave you that rundown, but as soon as I got them on the vehicle and drove around, I did notice immediately more responsiveness, And then there was a weird thing that I didn't like about the SPCs that I didn't know was the upper control arm, that apparently it is, because I don't get it at all with these Dirt Kings. When I'm in a full arc with my steering wheel and I'm going in a slow speed, usually in reverse, sometimes it's forward, I used to get kind of a clunk clunk back and forth in my front end, and I just thought that was my steering bushings. But with these Dirt Kings, I'm not getting that anymore, and so all I can figure is that was probably related to either the slightly worn ball joint I had, or possibly from those rubber bushings. I have heard people complaining that the bushings were not holding up, and so that may be the more likely cause. Either way, these Dirt Kings are rock solid. They don't squeak at all, and you know, they look fantastic, so I'm overall pretty happy. On one side note, I will say one thing I did miss about the SPCs is I could get that caster back all the way to like 4 degrees, maybe even further. I just never pushed it that far, and that gave me a little more space for snow tire chains. And with these, the most I was able to do is 3.3, and the other side had to be set back to 3 just so that we didn't have any of that weird Toyota pull. You know, if you set both your caster on a Tundra, I don't know if you're familiar, but typically you're going to get a pull from one side. You usually have to have it separated by about 0.3 to 0.5 degrees. So that being said, there's still enough room for chains as long as I don't turn it all the way at any amount of speed. And as long as I keep my speed down, I think I'll be fine without hitting the fenders. So that being said, thumbs up. I would still stick to an adjustable upper control arm if you're going to do anything bigger than 35s, or if you do need to run chains a lot. But I probably would go for the, who makes the adjustable cast iron or cast aluminum ones? I think it might be Icon. Dirt King might make some too. Put the comments in below for people to know what those are. If you do know which ones I'm talking about, they have an adjustable Heim joint, and they're a lot more sturdy than the ball joint in terms of the adjustable factor. So otherwise, if you're running fixed 35 inches or smaller, I give a 2 thumbs up for the Dirt King. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and share, and check out the other videos on the channel. I put a review up there recently about 6 months ago about my new Bilstein 8100, 8112s you might like. And anyway, guys, have a good one. Thanks for watching.